morning, everyone. It's such a delight that I myself, Monika Rudijono, is here together with Edward and with Winston. And we're going to cover a session about how is the tech founders playbook in redefining Indonesia when we're going for growth, right? So I think we're just going to start with a little bit of just updates from the both of you. So from Edward as well as from Winston. So what has been happening in IDN and in Kopi Kenangan, and could you just share a little bit of a snapshot of what your company's been going through and what are some of the milestones that you've achieved this year?
Thank you. Thanks, Monica. It is a pleasure to be here, right? And I think so far, right, this year for Kopi Kenangan has been a record year, right? This year we have been able to unlock 1,200 stores plus. We are opening at the rate of 1 store per day today. I think so far year to date we have 360 stores in the pipeline, right? We have achieved a new level of profitability where it is led by our Indonesia business at around 20% net income, right? And then on top of that, we are grateful that we are able to open 2 new countries this year, namely Australia and India. So I think this is an all-time high for us this year. We are very happy with the achievement this year, right? And it is all being led by our effort in technology, where I think our MTU, monthly transacting user, grew I think around 140% year on year. So led by technology, we've been able to unlock this $200 million of revenue run rate with roughly around close to 20% SSSG this year.
Amazing. 2 new countries, a store every day. Wow. What about you, Winston?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Winston Utomo. First, thank you to TIACON Asia for organizing this event. I still remember coming to the first TIACON Asia. For me, is 2014 in Balai Kartini. Yeah, 21 November 2014. That's my first exposure to TIACON Asia. So at that event, we have there is a speed dating, right? When you meet investor and startup for 5 minutes, everyone gets a few tickets to meet the potential investor. We met total 17 on that day. 17 reject. Some are more polite, say, I will think about it, but it's a rejection, we know eventually, but some reject it straight away. But I think, and coming back here 11 years later, I think I'm very thankful for TIACON Asia. And funny story, I never share the same stage with Ed. This is our first time, but actually the first version of IDN, the first product is IDN Times, right, our media. I do it myself. So back in 2014, I cannot code, so I use a GoDaddy free website builder. That's the first version that launched. That version only lasts for a few months. And then the second version, still back in 2014, is actually being created by Ed and his team. So it's coming full circle now with Ed, and very happy with him in Kopi Kenangan. Yeah. So he's the second version of IDN Times in 2014 until 2015. Yeah, so IDN is the leading media and entertainment technology company in Indonesia. Our focus has been only for the young generation of Indonesia, the millennials, the Gen Z. We have 4 businesses. The first one is digital media. The second one is live streaming. So we do live streaming payment, including micro drama. Now it's rising, micro drama. And the third business is a creators economy. So we make a marketplace that connect social media, creators, celebrity with brands. And the fourth business that is growing quite rapidly in the last few years for us is entertainment. So we make idol group like JKT48, music festival like Pesta Pora. We make movies and a few more around the live entertainment. So these 4 are the main business pillars of IDN. Last year, we are quite lucky. We've been able to grow quite a lot, 60% year on year on the revenue. We've been profitable for the past 7 years in the company. I think kudos to the team who've been able to grow while also managing the bottom line well. This year, we see still good growth across all our business, mainly driven by the advertising business, because 80% of our revenue is advertising. So advertising is still the core of IDN. And second, where we see a lot of growth is in the entertainment part of the business, like the live entertainment, the music, those are driving growth this year. Yeah, so we're still very bullish, and I think we're very excited to close this year strong. Thank you.
I think it's very exciting to hear your growth and also Kopi Kenangan's growth. But we know that for Indonesia at the moment, there has been quite challenges in the tech scene, right? We're facing turbulence. But despite all that, both of your companies are able to reach new heights, new milestone, and great growth, right? And so, is there any shift in how you see growth in both of your businesses? And if there is something that you can capture, like one defining milestone or one defining lesson in achieving that growth, what would that be? Maybe Winston, you can go first.
Okay, sure. Thank you, Monica. This year, if you say this year there is a bit of turbulence, uncertainty, the answer is yes. We see the same, more pressure, more challenge for this year. But we've been quite lucky, as I mentioned earlier, that we still be able to grow quite well this year. But I think the main challenge is not the business fundamental or the economic fundamental, at least from my perception. Yeah. If you see the whole macro economy in Indonesia, the main challenge or the main challenge is the negative sentiment, is the perception of economic uncertainty. But every year there is an economic uncertainty. Every year there is an economic challenge. But this negative sentiment makes companies, makes people do not want to invest, do not want to innovate, do not want to spend their money. And when companies and people do not spend their money, then the whole economic cycle doesn't move. When the whole economic cycle doesn't move, then it will hurt everyone. That's why starting from the government, from the big companies, from the medium companies, smaller companies, everyone has to keep spending and keep innovating, keep doing the business correctly, because only by doing that the whole economic cycle can move. Yeah. Because I still believe that fundamentally speaking, I think Indonesia is very good. For example, like last month we did a music festival, Pesta Pora. We have 120,000 paying tickets sold out, even bigger than last year. Right? So we just need more good news. We need more people have more optimism, because once this optimism trickle down, I think the whole country, the whole society will benefit.
So I think the biggest lesson for me for the past 2 to 3 years is that the biggest lesson for me is that it reminds me that a founder job is to build, right? And what do I mean by that? As we all know here, startup ecosystem in Indonesia and Southeast Asia is going through a pretty negative sentiment, right? A lot of startup fell, valuation I think did not grow, if not is actually declining, right? But at the end of the day, as a founder of a company, you need to be reminded that as a CEO, your main job is to grow, to build the business, right? So your valuation can fall from, I don't know, $100 to $1, right? Within 1 year or two. But at the end of the day, the main job stays the same. That is to build the company. So putting in the context of Kopi Kenangan, right? In 2021, obviously it was the startup boom in Indonesia and globally, right? However, I think since then, valuation has been and falling, and a lot of negative sentiment is growing in Southeast Asia. So a lot of founders that I met seems to be focusing more on fundraising, focusing more on meeting with investors, right? I literally met founders who travel from Dubai to Netherlands to London within 1 month, right? Just to find investors, right? So for me, as a founder, that's not a good use of your time, right? A good use of your time is to come back. What does your business do? What is the growth lever? And what are you meant to build, right? So in this case, right, in Kopi Kenangan, I think since 2023, I refocus all my effort to building the company, right? And I see no other way to take Kenangan to a new height, right? Other than building the company brick by brick, store by store, and selling it cup by cup, right? 1 year in 2023, we opened 53 stores. In 2024, we opened slightly more than 100. But today, because I refocus all that effort from bottom to up, right? It's a company-wide effort. It's not just my effort. We really refocus on building it store by store, trying to make it faster every month, trying to make sure that we have the financial discipline to open 360 stores this year. And as a result, that is why we are able to unlock a new height in Kopi Kenangan. And that is because we make this continuous effort to build. And just to close on that point, right? I got this pretty interesting analogy from Daniel Ek, the founder of Spotify. I met him in Japan, I think last year. And he was telling me, as a founder, you have to ask yourself as if you are building a house, right? Are you building a house to sell again? Or are you building a house to live in it, right? If you are building a house to sell again, you will make decisions where it's not sustainable. It's not long-term by nature, right? Ya, mungkin keramik yang murah lah, toiletnya ya nggak usah jangan pakai Toto, pakai Ice Paul or any other brand, right? But then if you're building a house, you are making sure that your house is there to stay for a long period of time. And I think as a founder, you need to have that mindset. You're building a company for you to stay for many years to come, right? Not just to flip and sell your company next year, in the next year or two. So if you have that in mind and you continue to build, I believe that you will eventually achieve new heights for your company. Yeah.
Oh, I think that's very interesting analogy, right? Whether you want to build for long term or just to flip the house, right? So just hooking on that, right? Is there any operational or cultural or funding shift that were most pivotal in enabling progress for you, right? Especially under tough conditions, right? Were there any missteps that you did that you can warn others about? Can you share more about that?
So coming back to that analogy, right? You're here to build for the long term, right? If you're building for the long term, you don't exactly need to go fast and break things every year, right? So one of our biggest decision in, I believe, 2022 is I told my board that the financial landscape has changed, right? We need to be more profitable and more sustainable. So I told the board I will stop building stores at our current pace of, I think 2022 I built 200 stores, but 2023 I told the board that let's just take it easy. Let's just build 50 stores, right? Because I believe that pausing is sometimes necessary for a company. If you are driving down the road, if you are just pressing the gas every time, you're bound to hit an accident, right? But then if you hit the brake from time to time, it can be quintessential for your journey. So that is why hitting that brake in 2023, I think really helped us to propel us to a new height, right? And this year, because back then we didn't just do nothing, but what we did is that we re-engineer the company from ground up, right? I made sure that the capex per store go down. I make sure that the revenue per store go up, right? And after we hit that inflection point where I feel that our payback is at 12 months again, then we start to run again, right? And that is what a reasonable company should do, right? You should not let investor pressure you to grow faster and faster every year. Sometimes taking a break is just as important as speeding up. Yeah.
So not grow at all costs, but grow smartly and sustainably. Fantastic. And Winston, what about you? Can you share like a moment on basically how did you evaluate whether you required a bold pivot in your business or a more measured course of action? Yeah.
Thank you. I think as entrepreneurs, we know how to execute. That's why we do things what we do, right? We know how to turn ideas into reality. We know when and how to start. But one weakness that we have, and actually many, including myself, is sometimes we need to know when to stop. Not only when to start, but when to stop. If I can share that, one of our biggest lesson learned and mistake is we believe in the idea too long, too much. We are not being objective and taking objective measure to analyze that is this a good decision or a good initiative, or actually this is not good, I think we should stop it. So I think 5-6 years ago, there are many initiatives that we took, especially when many of the leadership really buy into the idea. We just back the idea and believe this will work. Every year we put in more money, this will work. The next year we put in more money, this will work. And if I can look back, I think, no, that's not a good way of doing things. Yes, we should have the grit, we should have the resilience to not give up. But we should know when enough is enough, when this is the best time to stop, and we should pivot and change to another idea. And so that's what we started to implement starting last year and this year. Every time a business is not doing well, or every initiative of every product or every feature, we will put a timeline. Okay, this is the timeline, this is the metrics that it has to hit in the first year, in the next 6 months, in the next 6 months. If it doesn't hurt, should we give another 6 months? Okay, then if it doesn't work, we have to stop it. So to summarize, I think knowing when to stop is as important as knowing when to start.
I think that's fantastic advice. And what are some of the red flags that you monitor? I mean, how would we know that, oh, it's time to stop, right? Just as continuation to that question, is it like cash burn, or what are some of the metrics that you monitor for that?
I think we have a certain product have different metrics. Some product have a user metrics, some product have a revenue metrics, maybe a more mature product have a profit metrics. So whenever we see that, first I think the most important is that product or that initiative being loved by the customer. If there is no product market fit, there is no point of doing it. There is no point of sustaining it. Yeah. So I think that's the biggest red flag. If the customer, whoever that is, do not love your product, do not see any value in your product or your initiative, I think that's when we have to stop. I think that's the biggest red flag I see in any initiative. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you for that. So, Edward, earlier you mentioned that you're expanding pretty rapidly, like this year, 1 store a day. That's amazing. So when it comes to growing, expanding, what kind of guardrails or internal structures that help your company stay ambitious, but also protected from major risk, right? Like, overextension or costly missteps. Yeah.
So I think this is a very important question for Southeast Asian founder, actually founders in general, right? Because in my opinion, most founders after Series A or B, their their biggest mistake is not being under-resourced, but over-resourced, right? What do I mean by that? A lot of founders in 2021 raised 10 million, 20 million, 30 million, or 100 million like Kopi Kenangan, right? And by doing that, instead of just focusing on what works, you started taking a lot of initiatives that might not work, right? Rather than focusing on the top 3 priorities for your company, you started undertaking the 7th most priority, 8th most priority, and as a result, company becomes bloated because adding more initiative does not necessarily make you profitable. Actually, in most cases, in the near term, it will make you less profitable. So being that over-resourced, flush with capital, trying to do too many things, will really make you lose focus, most importantly, and then two, make you burn, right? Because I believe you looked at all the startups in Southeast Asia and globally, all of them actually, most of the burn actually comes from either marketing or investing in too many talents. So having talent is important, but having too much of a good can be bad, right? So you need to know what are your top 3 initiative or in the company. So once you know those top 3 initiative, right, what are the guardrails to make sure that this will take the company in the right direction? So I think the North Star metric for us is very simple. If it's profitable, it has a good ROIC, then we should double down, right? But if the ROIC for other projects seems to be less, then you put less resources in it, whether it be talent or money, right? So keeping that in mind, right, that is why in Kopi Kenangan we do bi-weekly, monthly governance for us to check whether where our money goes, it actually yield a good ROIC, right? With that clear focus on ROIC, that's why we are able to grow today until most of our stores in Indonesia today have a 12 months payback period because we really put that emphasis on having a good ROIC. To give you guys an example, if you see Kopi Kenangan has a lot of gas station, right? And we sometimes have malls as well, right? Mall generally makes more revenue than a gas station. However, if you look at the ROIC, typically a gas station makes better payback simply because capex is lower, rental is lower, right? So again, your North Star metric should never be revenue or even worse GMV, right? But it should always be ROIC. Do you make use of your capital well enough so that we can generate shareholder return? Yeah.
Thank you. And Winston, from your experience, right, how do boards, founders, and also investors can collaborate to together set those guardrails, right? Is there any particular governance practices that have been proven most successful, especially in your experience? Yeah.
I think I agree with Ed's sharing that building long term is very important because for us at IDN, for me, my lifetime journey will be IDN. Like I don't see myself doing other things than IDN. So it gives us a lot of privilege in thinking very long term, not to chase the hype, not to chase the quick wins, not to chase a very good quarter or very good year, but we sacrifice the year after. So I think that helps us a lot. And we've been very fortunate to have many team and investor and partner who believe in this vision that what we do is very important and what we do is really for the benefit of the society and for Indonesia. Regarding that one, regarding the governance, that's one thing that I've been very focused since, I think starting 6 years ago. We like the simple thing is we send like quarterly report, everything audited and so on. But if you see our annual report, we have like 150 pages of annual report covering everything end to end. So if our shareholders read the annual report, they can understand everything about our company transparently, and it is like a prospectus of a public company lah. But I always try to treat ourselves even though we are still a private company, I always treat ourselves as a public company because it pushes us to be professional, to be responsible, to be accountable in every decision that we make. And I think it's very important to have a strong governance, yeah, to make sure that we always do the right things. Yeah.
So one question, one closing question before we turn this over to the audience is for the founders in the audience, right? What are 3 concrete steps that they can take today to build resilience in startup? Who wants to go first?
So I think 3 concrete steps to build resilience in startup. Number 1, just to reiterate my point, right? A founder's job is to build inch by inch, brick by brick, cup by cup, right? It is not a game of yard, it's a game of inch. I think it's the football analogy that I really like and I keep on resounding to my team, right? Because if you always aim for that Hail Mary or that touchdown, right, then probability-wise, it's lower, right? It's just math behind it, right? But then, however, if you are building it inch by inch, then you know that it has nowhere to go but up with pretty high probability. So building a company inch by inch is how you should have your mindset, and hopefully you can eventually build a truly enduring large company. I think second, as just like Winston, I think having GCG from the early days or good corporate governance is very important, right? What are the pillars for a good GCG? Transparency, accountability, responsibility, independency. So those are some of the pillars for GCG, and it goes beyond having the P&L ready every month, right? There are actually a lot of layers to it, and I think if you can grow your GCG along with your revenue and profitability, it will only do you well in the future, right? And I think that is why Kopi Kenangan is audited by a Big Four since 2017, and we always get clean opinion every single year because we put that strong emphasis on having a good corporate governance, right? So I think those are my 2 tips, not 3, sorry, but yeah.
That's okay.
I think the first one is staying on your own lane. As company, as individual, it's very important if we focus on our own lane. Because it's easy to see other people's success. For example, when we see ad success with Kopi Kenangan, oh, let's make a coffee company. But when we do it, it's not that easy, right? And the main reason is, one of the reason is because we are flooded with the aspiration, maybe a false aspiration of success. Because we spend a lot of time in our social media, we spend on Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and so on. And the definition of success is only measured by financial metrics. I think, we offer glorifying these people, we offer glorifying this success, which as a result, distract us to live our purpose, whether as entrepreneur, as a professional, or anything that you want to do in life. So I think the first and the most important lesson is stay on your own lane. We should focus on what we love to do and what we believe we are good at, and that we just stay on your own lane. Focus is very, very important. We cannot do everything at once. Focus on 1-2 things and be really good at it. So that is number 1. Number 2 is love and take care of your customer. Customer here for us means there are 5 customers. The first one is our team. The team is the first customer. The second one is our user. The third one is our client. The fourth one is our partner, and the last one is our shareholders. In that sense, yeah. So if we take care of our team, the team will perform well, and then we have more users. If we have more users, we have more clients. If we have more clients, there are more partners that want to partner with us. If everything goes well, there are more investors that will give us more capital so we can hire more team and better team. So that is the cycle, and we have to really take care of our customer. And the third one is my personal passion is people and culture. I always say to the team, since 2014, focus on people and culture, everything else will follow. Product come and go, business model come and go, but people and culture are the most important part of any company. And if that breaks, then you cannot really fix it or repair it. But if your product fail, you just launch a new product. If your one business model fail, you just launch a new business model. But if the culture breaks, then it's almost impossible to repair it. So I think those three are the most important lessons for me. Thank you.
Thank you. I think Edward and Winston for very, very valuable lessons. So now let's turn our attention to questions from the audience. So let's go with the first one. What growth habit you personally had to unlearn in tough economic conditions? Any of you can take this?
Growth habit you personally had to unlearn.
Okay. I think one growth habit that I had to personally unlearn, I think is something along the line of 2021 or 2022, right? I think back then, again, there was this mindset, right, amongst Southeast Asian startup founder to go fast, right, at all costs. However, and that is why, back then when we decided to slow down, right, obviously we won't be growing as fast, right? So how to make up the difference in growth? That's why we looked at a lot of M&As actually back then. Actually, there was one theme that I think was pretty consistent since 2022 onwards, right? But then I realized that you don't have to grow, even if you have to grow that to the point that you need to go inorganically, right? To have a merger and acquisition, to buy a company, to make up the growth loss, right? Again, sometimes it's okay to pause things, to take a break, and make sure that your fundamentals keep on getting better. And I'm glad that we did that, and that is why our balance sheet is stronger than ever today, and our ROIC is at an all-time high as well. I think that is because we had that discipline to grow at the right pace. Yeah.
Maybe the second one I'll ask because we only have like 3 minutes left. So, and I want to cover the questions. So, Winston, you mentioned that IDN first started with news portal, right? And then now you've gone through even entertainment business. So when do you know, when is the time, how do you know when is the time to go to other business or other new verticals?
We started this realization, I think, quite early, 6-7 years ago. So because when we first started, 2014, digital media is at its peak. If you see in the US, all the best funded companies are all digital media. But one thing that I realized that in the end, media, what business are you in? You are in the business of attention. That is the one thing that we fight. You have, 24 hours, let's say you sleep for 8 hours, and then 16 hours you're awake. From that 16 hours, how many minutes or hours can we take from you? How many eyeballs can we take from you? That is the business that we are in, the business of fighting attention. And then when we try to understand the whole human's behavior, we cannot deny the powerful influence of the big tech companies. I'm talking about Google, TikTok, Meta, and so on. So it comes to our realization, what is the core strength that a media have and this big tech doesn't have? We have the ability to create stories, to create narrative, to drive influence to these people. Okay, so what we do, we change our whole business strategy. We try to find the derivative of the media. So I don't have a whiteboard, so I just draw with my hand. Yeah. So we see media. This is the left. Yeah. We see media as the first part of the attention funnel. We want you to come in. Let's say you come in and you read one article in IDN Times or in Fortune, for example. I probably only make zero point 0.1 cents per article that you read from the advertising. However, if I can influence you and build the story, and you come into our ecosystem and you become the fan of JKT48, you go to our music festival, Pesta Pora, you watch our live streaming and so on, suddenly the ARPU, the revenue that I can get from you increase from 0.1 cent to like $20, $30, $50 or even more. So that's how we see it. We see media as the first part of getting people's attention, but if we're talking business-wise, the monetization has to come into the whole ecosystem. That's why we are very fortunate when let's say we have JKT48, we increase the revenue by 6x when we first acquired to today, from losing money to now double-digit profit margin. Same goes with our other initiative, because the ecosystem business model and the media attention funnel works for us. That's why we will keep doubling down on doing this thing. Yeah.
Well, I think with that, because our time is up, I would like to really thank Edward and also Winston for the discussion this morning. And I do hope that the audience can learn a lot of valuable lessons from these two mature founders. Thank you so much.